Imagine this for a moment. You're walking down the street and you see a dime lying on the ground. You hesitate for a second, then pick it up almost out of habit. It's just a dime, right? 10 cents, nothing more. Maybe you toss it in your pocket or slip it into a jar back at home without even giving it a second thought. But what if I told you that dime, if it happened to be from 1966 and carrying one of the rare error varieties, could be worth as much as $62,000 to $140,000? Suddenly, that little coin doesn't seem so ordinary anymore. Suddenly, you realize the story of a coin isn't always about its face value. It's about the secrets it holds, the mistakes made during minting, and the collectors who would give almost anything to own it. The 1966 dime is an especially fascinating piece of American currency history. To understand why, you have to remember the time it was minted. In 1965, just 1 year earlier, the United States Mint stopped producing silver dimes and quarters. Rising silver prices had made it impractical to keep making coins with 90% silver content. So the mint shifted to a copper-nickel-clad composition. This was a massive change, and the early years of this transition saw more than a few errors slip through. By 1966, the mint was still working out kinks in the new production system, and that's part of what makes coins from this year, especially error coins, so exciting and valuable. Collectors prize 1966 dimes not just because of the design. Frank Gasparo's portrait of Franklin D. Roosevelt gracing the obverse and the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, but because of the rare mistakes that make some of them stand out from the crowd. Imagine billions of dimes being struck, one after another, day and night. In that sea of perfection, a few slip-ups occur. A die isn't aligned correctly, a planchet is off, or the striking pressure falters just enough to create a double image. These accidents are what make the 1966 dime error such a treasure point. One of the most thrilling errors collectors hunt for in this coin is the double die. When the die itself carries a double design, every coin struck with it shows those telltale signs. Letters and numbers with shadows or doubling that jump out under magnification. On a 1966 dime, you might see this doubling on the word Liberty, on the date itself, or even in the motto, "In God We Trust." To most people, it looks like a strange blur. But to collectors, that doubling is a beacon, a signal that says this is not just another dime. It's a prize worth potentially tens of thousands of dollars. Another variety of error that makes the 1966 dime valuable is the off-center strike. Picture the blank planchet not sitting correctly in the press. Instead of the design being perfectly centered, it's shifted to the side. The result? Part of the coin's surface is left blank, creating a one-of-a-kind appearance. These off-center strikes are wildly popular with collectors, especially when the date remains visible. The more dramatic the off-center error, the more valuable the coin becomes. A 1966 dime with a significant off-center strike in mint condition could easily climb toward that $62,000 to $140,000 range at auction. There's also the wrong planchet error, which is a true gem of the coin collecting world. This happens when a dime is mistakenly struck on a planchet intended for another coin, such as a cent or a foreign coin. The weight and composition are off, making the coin instantly unusual. Because these errors are so rare, they fetch jaw-dropping prices when they appear on the market. Imagine discovering a 1966 dime struck on a cent planchet. It might look slightly smaller or a different color, and while most people would think it's damaged or odd, a collector would recognize its rarity instantly. And then, of course, there are die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between, transferring ghostly outlines of the opposite design. Or brockage errors, where one coin sticks to the die and impresses its own image backward onto the next coin struck. Each of these errors tells a story, a tiny accident frozen in metal that transforms a 10-cent coin into something priceless. Now, let's take a moment to picture the journey of one of these coins. Minted in 1966, it could have slipped into circulation alongside millions of other dimes. Maybe it was used to pay for a newspaper, or it jingled around in a child's piggy bank for years. It might have been passed hand to hand through decades, unnoticed, until someone finally stopped and looked closely. Maybe it was the doubling in the date that caught their eye, or the strange off-center strike. Suddenly, that ordinary coin became extraordinary. Suddenly, what had been worth 10 cents became worth $62,000 to $140,000. The beauty of this story is that many of these coins are still out there. They might be sitting in old change jars, tucked away in dresser drawers, or hiding in coin rolls at your local bank. Every time someone pours out a handful of change, there's a chance, small but real, that one of these rare 1966 dimes could appear. That's what keeps collectors searching. It's not just about the money, though the idea of finding a life-changing fortune in spare change is thrilling. It's about the adventure, the thrill of discovery, the knowledge that history hides in the smallest, most ordinary places. And when these coins do appear at auction, they create electricity in the room. Imagine the auctioneer lifting a 1966 dime error, announcing its grade and rarity. The bidding begins modestly, perhaps at a few $1,000s. But as collectors recognize what's at stake, the numbers climb. 10,000, 25,000, 50,000. Hands rise faster, voices call out higher. Finally, the hammer drops, and the coin sells for over $100,000. The crowd murmurs, the winner smiles, and the coin finds its way into a collection where it will be treasured for years to come. That moment captures the magic of numismatics. A simple dime, elevated to legendary status by the quirks of history and the passion of collectors. Condition, as always, plays a massive role in value. A 1966 dime error found in circulation with heavy wear might still be collectible, but it won't command those six-figure prices. The real jackpots are the coins that have survived in mint state, with sharp details and little to no wear. Coins graded by professional services like PCGS or NGC often come with a premium because they carry certification of authenticity and condition. For a collector, having a high-grade 1966 dime error slabbed and sealed means peace of mind, and for the seller, it means unlocking the full potential of the coin's value. The 1966 dime error is proof of something remarkable, that extraordinary treasures often hide in plain sight. It reminds us not to take everyday objects for granted. A coin most people would overlook could hold enough value to change a life. Think about that the next time you empty your pockets at the end of the day. That little dime rattling around in your change could be the key to a hidden fortune. The truth is, stories like these are what keep the world of coin collecting alive and thriving. It's about more than money. It's about mystery, history, and the thrill of the hunt. Every dime, every penny, every coin has a story, and the 1966 dime story is one of change, error, and incredible value. For those who find one, it's not just a discovery. It's a reward, a validation of patience and curiosity. And for those who haven't found one yet, it's a reason to keep looking, to never dismiss the small things, because sometimes the smallest things carry the biggest surprises. So the next time you see a dime, especially one from 1966, don't just drop it in a jar or pass it along without a glance. Hold it up to the light, examine the details, look for doubling, off-center strikes, or anything unusual. Because one day, that ordinary-looking coin in your hand could turn out to be extraordinary. A dime worth not 10 cents but a staggering $62,000 to $140,000. And wouldn't it be something if you were the one to find it? The US 1982 one-dime coin error is one of those stories. At first glance, it looks like just another Roosevelt dime, the same kind you've seen countless times in change or passed over without a second thought. But beneath that ordinary exterior lies the chance of extraordinary fortune. This coin, when found with its error, can be worth anywhere between $48,000 and $122,000. The idea that something so small, something so common, could turn into such a treasure is what makes this dime a legend in numismatics. To truly understand why the 1982 dime error is so valuable, you need to think about how coins are made. The United States Mint produces billions of coins each year, and machines are designed to work with absolute precision. The goal is consistency. Every dime should look the same, weigh the same, and feel the same. And usually that's exactly what happens. But machines, no matter how efficient, aren't perfect. When something slips through the cracks, when a mistake makes its way into the final product, it creates an anomaly. These anomalies, known as minting errors, become some of the most prized pieces in coin collecting. 1982 was a unique year for American coinage. It was a time of change, especially when it came to the materials used in coins. The Mint had been experimenting with different metals to reduce costs, and mistakes during those transitional years created opportunities for rare and valuable errors. The Roosevelt dime, which had been in circulation since 1946, was supposed to remain consistent. Yet in 1982 something unusual happened. A small batch of dimes slipped through the system with errors, most famously the ones missing the mint mark. For collectors, the absence of a mint mark on a 1982 dime was shocking. Every dime struck in Philadelphia that year should have had the P mark on its face, a sign of where it was made. But some coins came out without it. Somehow, the mint failed to punch the mint mark into the die used to strike those dimes. The result? A 1982 dime with no P. At first, people barely noticed. After all, who really looks closely at a dime? But once the error was discovered, the world of coin collecting was set ablaze. Imagine it. Millions of people carrying dimes in their wallets, paying for groceries, parking meters, and bus fares, never realizing that one of those small coins could be worth more than a brand new car, more than a year's salary, even more than some people's homes. A dime, a mere 10 cents, transformed into a treasure worth between $48,000 and $122,000. That kind of story doesn't just excite collectors. It excites everyone because it means that treasure could still be hiding in plain sight. The beauty of the 1982 dime error is that it's rare enough to be incredibly valuable, but common enough that it could still be found by someone who takes the time to look. It's the kind of coin that keeps people searching through their change, keeps collectors digging through boxes of coins, keeps the dream alive that fortune might be hiding in the most ordinary places. That thrill of discovery is what makes the 1982 dime so special. What's even more fascinating is that these coins often slip through unnoticed for years. They pass through countless hands, they sit in piggy banks, they lie forgotten in drawers. And then one day, someone picks it up, studies it closely, and realizes they're holding something extraordinary. That's the magic of error coins. They're like hidden treasures just waiting for someone with a sharp eye to uncover them. Think of the shock someone must feel when they realize they've been carrying a coin worth tens of thousands of dollars in their pocket. One story tells of a man who had saved coins for years, never thinking much about them, until one day he began researching and discovered he had a 1982 no-mint mark dime. What he thought was worth 10 cents turned out to be worth more than $50,000. That discovery didn't just change his collection, it changed his life. The 1982 dime error also shows us something important about value. We tend to think of money in terms of face value, 10 cents, $1, $5. But the true worth of a coin isn't always about what's stamped on it. Sometimes its worth comes from its history, its rarity, its imperfections. That's why the 1982 dime error sells for so much at auctions. It's not just about owning a coin. It's about owning a piece of history, a piece of the minting process that went wrong in the most spectacular way. When collectors bid on these coins, the energy in the room is electric. Everyone knows how rare they are. Everyone knows they may never see another one like it again. Prices climb higher and higher until the final bid leaves jaws dropping. That's how these small dimes end up selling for anywhere between $48,000 and $122,000. For a coin that most people wouldn't even bother to bend down and pick up off the ground, that is astonishing. But beyond the money, there's something almost poetic about the 1982 dime error. In a world that prizes perfection, it's the mistakes that end up being the most valuable. These coins remind us that flaws can be beautiful, that imperfection can be worth more than perfection ever could be. Each 1982 dime error tells the story of a mistake that became a miracle, a simple slip that turned into a treasure. Collectors often say that searching for rare coins is like hunting for buried treasure. The 1982 dime proves that sometimes the treasure isn't buried at all. It's sitting right there in your hand. The only question is whether you'll notice it. Will you take the time to look closely, to study the details, to recognize the rarity hiding in plain sight? Because if you do, you might just find yourself holding a coin that could change your life. The story of the 1982 dime error continues to inspire new generations of collectors. It's a reminder that history is alive all around us, not locked away in museums, but circulating in our pockets and purses. It teaches us that value isn't always obvious, that sometimes the greatest treasures are the ones we overlook. And it proves that even the smallest coin can carry the biggest surprises. So, the next time you hold a dime, especially one from 1982, don't dismiss it as ordinary. Study it carefully. Look for the mint mark. Look for the details, because one of those little coins could be worth $48,000 to $122,000, a staggering fortune disguised as pocket change. And that's the true magic of the 1982 one-dime coin error. It keeps the dream alive that life-changing treasure could still be hiding in your very own hands. The US 1996 one-dime coin with rare minting errors is one of those remarkable examples, where a 10-cent coin has the power to transform into a life-changing discovery. Hidden among countless others in circulation, this coin has captured the attention of collectors and treasure hunters alike, with values ranging from $42,000 to $116,000 depending on the type of error and its condition. It is one of those small miracles of numismatics that turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. To understand why a 1996 dime could be so valuable, we first need to step back and look at its place in American coinage history. The dime has long been one of the most recognized coins in the United States, first introduced back in 1796. By 1996, the Roosevelt dime had been in circulation for 50 years, introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt shortly after his death. On the obverse, the coin bears Roosevelt's left-facing profile designed by John R. Cynic, with inscriptions like "Liberty" and "In God We Trust." On the reverse, the design features a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbols of liberty, peace, and strength. The 1996 dime was a special year as it marked the 50th anniversary of the Roosevelt dime, and coins struck at the West Point Mint even carried a small W mint mark to commemorate this milestone. But hidden within the normal production of dimes that year were minting errors that turned some of these coins into prized treasures. Minting errors can occur in many ways. A misaligned die can strike the design off-center, leaving parts of the image missing. A double die error can cause inscriptions like "Liberty" or the date to appear doubled. Sometimes the coin is struck on the wrong planchet altogether, meaning a dime might be struck on a planchet intended for a penny or a foreign coin. In 1996, a handful of these mistakes made their way into circulation. For collectors, these errors aren't flaws in the traditional sense. They are rare accidents that create coins unlike any others. Each error coin is essentially one of a kind, and that uniqueness is what makes them so valuable. Imagine for a moment you're sorting through your change after buying a cup of coffee. You notice something odd about one of your dimes. Maybe the strike looks a little off-center, or perhaps the lettering doesn't look quite right. At first, you might shrug it off. But if you were to take a closer look, you might realize you're holding a rare error coin from 1996, one that could be worth anywhere from $42,000 to $116,000. That realization would change everything. A dime that once seemed insignificant suddenly has the potential to rewrite your financial story. Collectors know the thrill of this discovery well. They dedicate hours to examining coins under magnification, looking for doubling in the letters, unusual marks, or off-center designs. They know that every coin tells a story, but error coins tell one that no other can. The 1996 dime, because of its anniversary significance, already carried extra meaning for collectors. Add in a rare minting mistake, and you've got the perfect recipe for a numismatic treasure. The market for coins like the 1996 dime error is driven by both rarity and demand. Error coins are inherently rare because the mint catches and corrects mistakes as quickly as possible. But once in a while, a batch slips through and ends up in circulation. The rarity of these mistakes, combined with the significance of the 1996 dime, has made these coins especially desirable at auctions. Collectors will bid aggressively to secure one, and prices have been known to soar well past expectations. That's where the jaw-dropping values of $42,000 to $116,000 come into play. One of the most fascinating aspects of these coins is the possibility that they've already passed through countless hands without anyone noticing. How many people used one of these error dimes to buy a snack, pay for a phone call, or feed a parking meter, completely unaware of its real value? That's part of the magic. These coins can sit in circulation for years, quietly blending in with millions of others, until someone with a sharp eye finally spots the mistake. The condition of the coin matters tremendously. A 1996 dime error in pristine, uncirculated condition will always bring in higher prices at auction than one that shows signs of wear. Professional grading services like PCGS or NGC can certify the coin's authenticity and condition, adding even more to its value. The higher the grade and the more dramatic the error, the closer the coin gets to that upper value of $116,000. That's why so many collectors emphasize proper care and storage, because the difference between a coin worth tens of thousands and one worth only a fraction of that often comes down to condition. But beyond the dollars, these coins hold a deeper kind of fascination. They remind us that mistakes can become treasures, that imperfection can create beauty and rarity. In a world where machines are designed to be precise, a small slip at the mint becomes something extraordinary. Instead of being discarded, these coins are celebrated and cherished. They're a testament to the fact that sometimes the smallest accidents lead to the greatest discoveries. The thrill of discovery is what drives coin hunting. Picture a collector hunched over rolls of coins, carefully checking each one under a magnifying glass, heart racing as they spot something unusual. That moment of realization, that they found a rare 1996 error dime worth tens of thousands of dollars, is unforgettable. And it's not just experienced collectors who can stumble upon these treasures. Ordinary people have found them, too, tucked into their pocket change or sitting unnoticed in a jar on the kitchen counter. That's the allure. The idea that anyone, anywhere, could make a life-changing discovery just by paying attention to the details. Auction houses have seen some spectacular sales of 1996 dime errors. The stories of these coins inspire collectors to keep searching, because they prove that the treasures are real and attainable. It's not just about the money, though that is certainly part of the excitement. It's also about being part of history, holding in your hand something that almost shouldn't exist, a piece of the mint story that slipped through the cracks. There's also the element of mystery. How many more of these error dimes are still out there, undiscovered? Are they sitting in piggy banks, jars, or cash registers right now? Could one of them be in your pocket at this very moment? These are the questions that make the hunt so exhilarating, so the next time you come across a dime from 1996, don't dismiss it as just another coin. Take a closer look. Check the lettering, the date, the mint mark, and the strike. Because if you happen to find one with a rare error, you might just be holding a coin worth between $42,000 and $116,000. That's the kind of discovery that can change not just your day, but your entire life. The story of the 1996 dime error teaches us something profound. Value often hides in the smallest and most overlooked places. It's a reminder to slow down, to pay attention, and to appreciate the details. Because sometimes, what looks like an ordinary dime is actually a treasure beyond imagination. Whether you're a seasoned collector or just someone curious about coins, the 1996 dime is proof that history, rarity, and fortune can all come together in the palm of your hand. Keep your eyes open, keep searching, and never underestimate the power of the smallest coin. Because in the world of numismatics, even a simple dime can be worth a fortune, and the 1996 error dime is living proof. The 2007 US 1 dime coin error is one of those incredible numismatic stories that keeps collectors and everyday people alike fascinated with the idea that treasure can be hiding in plain sight. On its face, a dime is one of the smallest coins in our everyday use, something so common that most people don't give it a second glance. But what makes the 2007 dime so extraordinary is the fact that, in rare cases, minting mistakes turned this ordinary 10-cent piece into a collector's dream. These errors transformed the dime into something rare, unique, and highly sought after, commanding values at auctions that seem almost unbelievable. Some of these coins have sold for amounts ranging between $34,000 and $93,000, and when you hear stories of these sales, it becomes clear why collectors around the world have become captivated by the 2007 dime error. To understand the significance of this coin, it helps to look at the design of a regular dime. By 2007, the Roosevelt dime had been in circulation for decades. It was first introduced in 1946 to honor President Franklin Delano Roosevelt, following his death the previous year. The obverse features his profile, designed by John R. Sinek, with the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date. The reverse displays a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. It's a design that has stood the test of time, becoming one of the most recognizable in American coinage. But what happens when something goes wrong during production? The US Mint produces billions of coins each year, and even with modern technology, errors slip through. These aren't the everyday scratches or wear from circulation. These are striking errors, die misalignments, double dies, wrong planchet strikes, and other unusual mistakes that give a coin its rarity. In 2007, examples of such errors on dimes became an unexpected phenomenon. Suddenly, the smallest coin in your pocket change had the potential to be worth more than a brand new car point. One of the most talked about 2007 dime errors involves the off-center strike. In these coins, the image of Roosevelt or the reverse design appears shifted to one side, leaving part of the coin blank. This kind of error makes the coin instantly recognizable as unusual, and collectors love the dramatic look of such mistakes. Another variety that captures attention is the double die error, where doubling can be seen in inscriptions like Liberty or the date, or in Roosevelt's profile itself. For those with sharp eyes and magnifying glasses, spotting one of these errors feels like discovering gold. Yet another fascinating error from 2007 involves wrong planchet strikes. This happens when a dime is accidentally struck on a blank intended for another denomination, such as a penny or a nickel. The result is a dime design on the wrong metal, and because these mistakes are so rare, their value skyrockets. The intrigue grows when collectors realize that these errors are not just minor imperfections but striking examples of how something meant to be uniform and ordinary became unique and extraordinary. The real shock comes when you learn how much these coins are worth. Imagine finding a dime in your change, only to discover that it could be sold for tens of thousands of dollars. That's exactly what has happened with some of these 2007 error dimes. Depending on the type of error and the condition of the coin, values have soared into a staggering range, anywhere from $34,000 to $93,000. These numbers aren't just theoretical estimates. They reflect actual sales and serious bids from collectors determined to own one of these elusive pieces. The idea that a coin worth 10 cents could be valued at nearly $100,000 is something that captures people's imagination. It's the perfect blend of history, rarity, and sheer surprise. It makes you think twice about dismissing the change rattling around in your pocket or purse. Every dime, every penny, every nickel could hold the possibility of being something more. The 2007 dime error proves that even in the 21st century, when minting technology is advanced and errors are less frequent, incredible mistakes still occur, and when they do, they command enormous attention. What makes these coins even more exciting is the fact that many of them are still out there, potentially unnoticed. While serious collectors keep a sharp eye on every coin they come across, most people don't. That means that error coins like the 2007 dime could still be sitting in jars, cash registers, or bankrolls, waiting for someone to spot them. That possibility fuels the thrill of the hunt. Collectors are always looking, always hoping to stumble across that one special coin that could change everything. The story of the 2007 dime error also highlights an important lesson in collecting. Condition is everything. A coin in mint state, untouched and perfectly preserved, can fetch a much higher price than one that is heavily circulated. This is why collectors go to great lengths to protect their finds, storing them in holders, sending them off for professional grading, and making sure they remain in pristine condition. For the 2007 dime error, condition is a key factor in whether the coin brings in closer to $34,000 or soars into the upper range of $93,000. But beyond the numbers and the prices, these coins carry a story. They remind us that accidents can create beauty, and that value often lies in the unexpected. When the mint struck these error dimes, no one imagined they would become prized possessions decades later. Yet here we are, with collectors chasing them, auctions setting records, and ordinary people marveling at the possibility that something so small could be worth so much. Think about how many dimes you've handled in your lifetime, tossed into vending machines, slipped into tip jars, or forgotten in drawers. Now imagine that one of those dimes could be worth nearly $93,000. That's the magic of coin collecting. It takes something ordinary and turns it into a story, a treasure, a piece of history. The 2007 one-dime error is a perfect example of this magic in action. Collectors know that coins like this are more than just money. They're artifacts. They tell stories about how our currency is made, about the people who design it, and about the rare moments when something goes awry. The 2007 dime error is not just a coin. It's a reminder of how imperfections can create lasting value. That's part of the reason why the numismatic community values these coins so highly, not just for their rarity, but for what they represent. For new collectors, the story of the 2007 dime is a call to action. It says, pay attention, look closely. Treasure might be hiding where you least expect it. You don't need to start with ancient coins or high-priced rarities. Sometimes, the hunt begins with the change in your pocket. The thrill comes from knowing that you might discover something extraordinary in the most ordinary place. As long as people use coins, as long as mints produce billions of pieces each year, there will always be the chance for errors. And as long as errors exist, collectors will chase them, driven by the thrill of rarity and the promise of extraordinary value. The 2007 one-dime error, with its astonishing auction values ranging from $34,000 to $93,000, stands as one of the shining examples of how this pursuit never loses its excitement. The next time you hold a dime, take a second to really look at it. Check the date. Look at Roosevelt's profile. Examine the reverse. Because who knows, maybe your dime isn't just worth 10 cents. Maybe it's one of those rare 2007 errors, the kind of coin that could turn the most ordinary moment into something unforgettable. And if it is, you won't just be holding a coin, you'll be holding a piece of history worth a fortune.